right. Whoop, there we go. Wrong screen. All right. Okay, so I've got a couple of slides and then we will dive right into the product. I'm Janice and I'm with Blue Moon. And we are a company that's been developing products in the dynamic space for quite some time. And we've recently taken a number of our popular products and brought them over into the BC space. And we are continuing to do that. So we're super excited to have them here. And all of our products are really tightly integrated with the ERP system. So whether it's Dynamics GP or Dynamics BC, you'll see that our products are right in there. And from a user perspective, it's just like they're using a single system rather than something that might look like it came from, let's say, another source. As far as what we're going to talk about today, that's our ChargeBack processing product. So if you're a customer who has retailers as your customers, you probably know that they do what they call a deduction, a chargeback, an adjustment. All of these things are sort of reasons for them not paying an invoice in full. A lot of these have to do with compliance type errors. You didn't follow the rules, so they're going to ding you for it. So for example, if the label is crooked and it won't read through their floor scanner, they'll ding you back. If you went to the wrong dock door, you did not deliver in the way that you were supposed to. There's probably a million reasons that they can come up with that. And it's up to you to track them and even be able to dispute them. Otherwise, they will just continue to take that deduction each time, and you will be receiving less money than you planned. So with our ChargeBack processing product, what we've done is we've allowed you to configure and set up different types based on those different categories, and also be tracking them in a way that supports you being able to go back and dispute them if needed, or if it was something that you were planning on getting or something you anticipated, like advertising co-op or things like that, you can agree with the adjustment and then just process it through your system. Either way, it helps you to streamline the cash receipts processing and remittance of that payment so that you can get all of those invoices paid in full. So we're just going to switch over here and I will stop sharing this PowerPoint and we'll go right into Business Central. Okay, so from our perspective, it really starts with creating the adjustments. So I'm just going to go in here and start with our adjustment entry. And what this does is it allows you to go in and set up all of those types. You could certainly import these if you receive them. I know companies like Walmart and Target often provide the list because they have specific codes that they use. So these could be imported into your Business Central system. So what happens with these items is that you can set them up with a description, a code or a description, and then you can let the system know that generally speaking, here's how this works. We generally will want to dispute this if they said we short ship them or something like that. So we would say, okay, we'd like to have them prove it and see where we did short ship them. And then from our perspective, because these tied directly into the receivables and then to the general ledger, we want to be able to code them properly with your chart of accounts. So what we're asking here is, okay, if you did agree and yep, you did short ship them, what general ledger account would you want that credit to go to? If, on the other hand, you do want to dispute it and then reserve the right to put that credit in later, you want to go in and out of a clearing account because you're not committing to that expense yet. So we give you all of these capabilities here so that once the user is processing a remittance, they don't have to make all these decisions. They can just go by what's on that payment remittance and they can go in and process that payment. And you can have as many of these adjustment types as you want. So at the customer level, what we're talking about is receiving a cash receipt or a remittance for a payment. So I'm going to go into our remittance entry window. And we're going to take a look at the remittance process. So when we come in here, we can go in and we can either create a new remittance or we can work with a remittance that already exists. I'm going to delete this one and start over so we can take it right from the beginning. So when you come into the remittance window, we'll have a predefined remittance number. You'll just put in your customer ID, and then you can select or have it default to a payment batch. I'm just going to put in today's date. And then you can put in the payment information. If it was ACH, if it was a check, whatever it might be, you can put in that information here, the date on that particular payment, and the actual amount of the payment. Now, in these scenarios, what's usually happening is that they're going in and paying you something less than the total invoices that they're actually clearing off, because the check plus what they took in those deductions will equal the amount of the invoices. So I'll just select my bank account here for my payment, and then we'll get started. So from here, I've got a payment of $57.65.34, and now I've got a slew of adjustments that are going to be entered in. For the purposes of our demo today, I'm only going to put in a few, but often this could be tens or even hundreds of adjustments that are coming in on a remittance. These can be electronically imported as well. And also, if you're using EDI and the whole payment is coming in electronically, you can configure that for electronic import as well. So then I would just put in those different types. So if I'm looking at their cash receipt remittance form, I can see that they are dinging us for freight. And then at this point, they will typically give you a freight adjustment account number. And that's the reference number for you to go back to try to collect it. So if you don't agree with this freight adjustment, if you try to go back and say, oh, well, you short paid invoice 123, they will say, no, we didn't. We paid it in full and it's in history. But if you tell them that you're disputing the freight adjustment of freight 1300, now they will have that as well in their system. And that's what you would be able to use to start to research the situation. And then all of these can just be entered in. Like I said, we are just putting in a few for the purposes of our example. And in that case, we may not have done this manually. In many cases, it's an automated function. Now, when you have something that you were expecting, maybe you were expecting, let's say, your August 2025 adjustment for co-op or advertising so that you get the best spot when you're working with their retail stores, you can see here that this one is marked as allowed because we're expecting that every month. And although that is something that they're taking against an open invoice, it means that we don't need to dispute this one because we know that it is something that we were planning on getting. So from here, I can put that in. So if our monthly co-op is 1,200, now I can put that information in. And this will simply create a credit memo applied against the invoices and not have anything put back on the customer's account. So what I mean by that is for these two items here, what will happen is credit memos will be created and the entire total of $2,000 you'll see in a moment available for us to apply against the cash receipt. However, for the two that we want to at least look into before we commit to saying, yes, we screwed this up, then what it will do is put in a debit memo back on those customers' accounts so that you have something to research. And then within your inquiries within Business Central, you can pull out all of those transactions and then go after those in your normal collection methods to dispute or at least get some justification for why they took this adjustment. So once you put all of these in, then you can close the window and you'll be back in the remittance entry window. But now what you'll have is your original payment amount plus the $2,000 in chargebacks, and then the total will be your total amount that you can apply against the invoices. So then from here, I can just come in and apply all of the invoices as I need to. In this case, we're paying all of the invoices. So I can mark the invoices and say, okay, and all of these invoices will come in and show that applied amount. And now what'll happen is my unapplied amount has gone down to zero because I've used the combination of the payment along with all of the adjustments in order to facilitate paying off the invoices. At this point, I can save this, I can go in and confirm it, and then once I'm ready, I could go in and post this. And once it's posted, it will go ahead and update that customer's account with all of the payments. It will apply credit memos for all of those adjustments against those invoices, and then it will subsequently create those debit memos back on the customer's account while you research the ones that you did not agree with. At any point prior to posting, you can go back into the adjustment entry. You can make different decisions. You could remove these and add more lines up until that time of posting. So once this is processed and posted, you do have the ability to go in and review what has been done. So in our posted remittance entry window, you can go in and look at those posted remittances. When you go in and drill down into it, you'll see all the invoices that were applied against this remittance, the amount of the payment. And then if you go into the adjustment inquiry window, you'll be able to see all of the adjustments that were made that went against this particular customer's invoices and payments. Now, in addition to the invoices, if there were any legitimate actual credit memos that were applied against these invoices during this time, you would also see those here and be able to drill into those credit memos to see how they were applied as well. You also have the ability to go in and put in those adjustments as debits or as credits. So in some cases, we find that there are adjustments that are reducing the amount, but then there's also other types of adjustments that the retailer may be giving you that may increase as well. And in that case, you can identify those as either a debit or a credit, increase or decrease in the account. Now, all of these transactions are part of the customer's record. So when you're going in and looking up a customer in the system and you're looking at any of the transactions that they have, when they have those adjustments for your credit memos and debit memos, they will appear within their customer account, just like everything else. So you'll see in this case, there's a few references here that I've put in for those freight adjustments and references for other chargebacks. So they will appear in the customer's account, and you will be able to drill down, see how they were applied, look at open versus closed transactions. So nothing about them is separate from the customer's record. So you have one customer record that has all of that information available. And as I mentioned, if you have customers that are large, like Home Depot, Target, Walmart, that are delivering you an electronic remittance, all of these remittances may be brought into the system as well, and they do not need to be manually entered. So in conclusion, I will just pop back over to my presentation. And what will happen here is this will help you to really strengthen that cash receipts process and also improve your cash flow, because knowing why those adjustments are being made is one of the biggest things that people identify as a reason for using the product, because otherwise it just seems to be kind of a black hole. And in one customer situation that we had recently, what happened with them is they started suddenly getting chargebacks for something. And when they looked into it and used those different adjustment types, they found that they kept getting adjustments for delivery errors, delivering to the wrong dock door, delivering outside the delivery window. And when they really looked at the customers in that delivery area, they were all in a single delivery area. So they were able to pluck out those chargebacks, look at them from within their system, look at the ship to addresses of the orders that were being adjusted and the customers that were being adjusted. And they realized that they had a delivery problem within their own organization. So based on that, they were able to determine what the problem was, what kind of a problem it was, and resolve it quickly so that they could minimize those chargebacks and adjustments that were happening with their customers. So if you have any questions about chargeback processing or any of our other products, please reach out to us at channelmanagement@bluemoonisv.com, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Amy, over to you.
Thank you. And there's a comment from Kevin saying, been using Blue Moon since 1999. Love the chargeback module. So
Oh, great. Thanks, Kevin.